Is partners in the struggle, and we're talking to Mr. EJordan and Ms. CGreenlee. And of course, Mr. Jordan, I think we promised that during the final segment we would give you an opportunity to talk about some of the real problems dealing with drugs and gangs within these communities that in many instances prompt all of this gun violence that we're talking about. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
That's basically it. You know, I think that here in Nashville that we're getting a population there of gangs here in Nashville, and the drug activity that leads with some of these young men who are affiliated with gangs, I figured it's causing a lot of the murders and gun violence that's going on. We must talk to the young black males. It's going to take myself, Ms. Clemmy, and yourself to say, hey, you know, go to these young men who are in the schools that may be troubled, to say, hey, you know what, put these guns down, put these dope packs down. You know, the only for sure life that you're gonna lead when you're on the streets is your death. Basically, that's what's gonna happen. That is what I see. You know, I work in the school system here in Nashville. Some of our children who are in the schools are affiliated with gangs. And I asked them, I said, will these gangs love you when you're incarcerated? Okay. Will these gangs love you or help out your moms when, you know, she may need some food on the table or what have you? You know, don't get caught up in this gang mentality, because what it's doing right now is taking a lot of lives. And when you have violence, you have drugs or what have you, you're going to have death. That's going to be the final analysis with all of this. And so I think we need to address this from, you know, the governor's standpoint, the mayor, chief police, who I think is doing a good job. You know, I know he's getting a lot of flack over his son and things of that nature, but he's doing a good job. He's doing everything that he can, but it's going to take us to make sure that we can crack down on what's going on in our community, you know, and that's where it is, you know. And when I come in or when we come in, it's just to say, hey, you know what, we're going to put that voice where the voice wasn't before. And when we speak, you're going to hear us. And that's what Partners in Struggle is all about.
Well, you know, you mentioned the fact of gangs in Nashville. Now, did not the police department say that there are no gangs and there's no gang activity or no gangs in Nashville? That these are, I mean, and I say that because it seems that you're working within the area, whatever, and you have done it, and you believe that we've got a lot of gangs in Nashville that are acting in concerted efforts to do what gangs do.
If they stated that, then I don't know, because I've seen several situations where they say it may have been a gang situation. So maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I know for a fact these are what my kids talk about, the Bloods and the Crips. You know, and that's not something that you learn on Sesame Street.
These are, you've been in there.
This is you know, the rags and the whole nine. I mean, you know, and this is what our children think that life is supposed to be about, a rag that represents, you know, Blood and Crips. And I'm looking at my life right now and saying, when I was growing up in the 70s, you know, I was able to go outside and play and have a good time. Now, if you go outside and play with today's society, knowing there may be a gang situation, that's another life taken with this stray bullet that they call. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. My kids ought to be able to come outside, my son and my daughter ought to be able to come outside and play without worrying about a stray bullet coming from somebody else, and then the media excuse me by saying, well, they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's a misprint. If my children in the confines of their home, they're at the right place. These young men who are out here taking the lives of our loved ones are in the wrong place. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be out there with guns and pulling the triggers and taking lives. And that's the bottom line.
Well, now so quite a bit of this activity, not quite a bit, because I think that there's gang violence and murders and etc. all over the city. But the newspapers seem to have sort of singled out public housing as the place of focus, because a large number of these murders have been committed in public housing. But we're talking about less than, according to the less than 5,000 folks. Is that what we're talking about? We're talking because, well, now, in other words, 5,000 folks in a real sense are held hostage by these gangs and this kind of activity.
Violence is going to come everywhere. Not just who would think that something would transpire on the campus of Tennessee State University, Dr. Haney. We never thought that. But these were young men who was out to get somebody that night. You know, it could have been public housing, it could have been Bellevue, Brentwood. Violence is everywhere now. Don't single out public housing. This is just an easy target for these young men, because that's where they hang, that's where they do most of their drug transactions. It's easy, you know, it's easy. But at Tennessee State University, where Mr. Ping life was taken, that's unacceptable. So it's not just in public housing, and I don't want that to be the key. It's everywhere. Gun violence and murders is everywhere. It's to the point now, you know, we got to be almost looking behind our backs. You know, worry about am I next?
That's right.
You know, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. So I don't want to say it's just in public housing. It's not.
And of course, I don't wish to imply that, but I am saying that this is a small element of the population. But for all of that violence to come out of it, well, now, do you think that it's anything that can be done to deal with the drugs and gun violence in the areas where it occurs? I mean, these are so many emotional kinds of things, and it's very, very difficult to stop a murder when it's based upon emotions and etc. But what can be done? I mean, where do we go?
I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna let Ms. Clement come in. I think, where as a community, if you see someone in your environment, your neighborhood, selling drugs, call the police.
Okay.
As easy as that. Call the police and say, hey, you know what? I pay my taxes. This is my house. I don't want no drug dealer right next to my door. You need to come and find out what's going on and evict these folks or whatever you do, police, department, or what have you. And then next it goes to our children who are making these decisions. We need to reach our children and talk to them. We need to talk to them. That's it. I'm going to pass to Ms. Clement. She got something she may want to say.
Well, the only thing I want to touch base on that real quick is the only thing we can do as a community is come together and accumulate a lot of more opportunities and a lot of more programs for the youth. The CEO of Galaxy Star, which is Mr. CGreenlee, he says it best. They're not going to put the guns and the packs down and go work for a $5 job when they make $500 an hour. So if we get together and think of some opportunities and programs for them, which he had came up with a 10-year plan called OFC, Opportunity for Change, and it's just waiting for somebody to come and see it and develop it. We don't have enough buildings for them to come into and see, well, if I decide to give you this gun and this pack, what you got to offer me? Can you send me to college? Can you get me a scholarship? Can you help me get my GED? Can you teach me how to be a dad? So that's really the basic answer. We as a community, the society, and the system have to come up with more opportunities and more programs for them. What if I take 15 people off the corner today? Where am I going? I got a place to put them, but what am I going to do to them the next day? Do they have a class? Can I just send them to a Vanderbilt now? Can I put them in TSU class now? No. So more opportunities and programs being developed. How do we know that they won't quit if we don't put some kind of opportunity in their face? And looking at all of the holidays that's coming up now, we have a lot of kids, including my 3-year-old son, Jaquan Sullivan. I have to say his name because he's a victim now that's going to grow up without a father, and he's already asking, where's my dad? So the community, the system, the media, some of the
black churches.
The black churches.
Got to get in there.
Amen. Some of the black churches, we have to come out and take a calculated risk on some of these kids and quit worrying about their pants hanging down, the braids in their hair, and the grill in their mouth. And see what we need to do to love on them so they can love on themselves so they can quit taking everybody's lives.
No more situations where the black churches are afraid to come out. Bring church to them. You know, a real thug, he's not going to come to the church. You better bring the church to him.
Right.
You know, and that's what needs to happen. And I think once we break the core, and this is what Adrian Dixon's mom, Regina Hawkins, said about the 2 men that murdered her daughter. She said when these 2 young men came into the situation where they was murdered, they came into night court, she was just saying how cold and hard their hearts were. You got to channel that with love. A lot of these brothers don't know what love is. If you walk up and hug them right now, they may just break down and cry and say, I want your help. You know, sometimes that thug mentality is just a front because they need love. Mother and father in the home, so they don't know how to react. And this is the part of our problem with our black men, our little boys. And we got a job to do. We got a job to do.
But I think that that's a good start in terms of dealing with the job, and that is to identify the problem. And you think that it's a problem that, and of course we need more programs, as Ms. Greenlee has pointed out. But it's a problem that can be solved by just not just with love. Love is all. You know, but you're saying that if we start showing more concern in reference to what these young people are doing and stop criticizing them, that perhaps they might drop that hard exterior that they have and be willing to come by and we can deal with them.
That's right, because they won't help. They won't help. They won't help.
They won't help.
They won't help.
Early on, when the young lady living in apartments was shot on her porch, we all met up, and Brother Earl was there along with my pastor, which is Pastor Orlando Westbrook.
Quick.
And anyway, he was there, and he would tell you he's a hood pastor. He would come out and love on you.
Okay, and of course, Ms. Greenlee and Mr. Jordan, let me thank the two of you for coming by and bringing us that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good morning.